Welcome to Systems Analyst and Design. So I am your instructor for this one, Grant Spencer. I am, let's see, so I've been teaching in colleges since about 2008. I currently am a full-time uh, manager of cloud data engineering at Blue Cross, and basically I just do this for fun. So that's a little bit about me. I've been in the industry probably, I guess I would say since the early 90s. 92 probably is when I'd start saying that I was at least paid for this anyway. Um, and so, yeah, and basically I was at one point a systems analyst. Now I'm kind of much more of into management, but I still think this is an important skill. We need more people out there that can think the way that this course is trying to teach you to think. So that's all I'm going to say about that. What I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of give you a look over D12, where we're going to encounter the syllabus, and we'll encounter basically how this course is going to flow, because this is an online asynchronous course. So a couple things right off the top. First of all, this is D12. You'll need to have access to this. I imagine you have it already if you've already here. And what I tend to do is I'll send out emails, and I'll post the emails also here in the announcement section. All right, so how is this thing broken down? Well, first of all, right here in the content section, you'll see that I kind of have all the topics out, and basically around the dates you should be thinking of engaging them. All right. You'll see later as I'm talking through assignments and things, there is actual timelines that you need to meet, but also at a glance, you can kind of get a sense as to how this is broken down, and if you're going to align this with other courses, where your choke points are. So I think that's that's important. The syllabus is right here. I'll talk about this in a minute, but the other thing I'm going to say is that I do have a YouTube playlist for this course. And actually, I can probably show that to you, even though it'll likely change. The playlist is likely going to evolve as we go. So I'm probably redoing certainly the open section, but you'll see in the playlist, I kind of do have a sort of a lecture, an assignment, lecture, assignment, lecture, assignment. So it's all out here in the playlist, which you can view at your leisure, pausing, speeding up my voice, slowing down my voice. You be you as far as how that goes. So that's the YouTube playlist. Basically, I'm aligning everything up to the chapters of the book. Probably a good time now to go into the syllabus. So let's just crack open the syllabus for second, excuse me. One other thing, by the way, I'm not a professional YouTube contributor at all, so I'm just more or less doing this because I figure it's a little bit more entertaining than watching emails. All right, here we go. So there's the syllabus. And you can kind of get a good sense as to what you've actually signed up for, what we're trying to accomplish. This is me. This is my email here. Office hours. So these online asynchronous classes, I've tried to have a standard set of times where I can be reached. I'll sit on a Zoom session and just sit there and wait. And the number of students that have shown up has always been 0. And I just think in the end, here's the deal. If you would like to talk with me, email me and we can set up some time. Right. I'm relatively flexible. Now, remember, I have my corporate job at Blue Cross, Blue Shield. That's where I'm the cloud data manager. But, I have time. So, and I'm more than willing to meet with interested students. We're going to be using this book. This book is, I believe we actually have a red book way to look at it. I will be checking it out to see how that actually works. But anyway, we're going to be using the 11th edition. There is actually a 12th edition out there now, but you know what? It's fine. The 11th is fine. Okay. And so when you see what I'm talking about here about these, this material being broken up into sections here, you'll see that, for example, in the intro, there's chapter 1, there's chapter 2, there's the assignment for chapter 1, there's the assignment for chapter 2. All right. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Okay, so you can kind of see it kind of going through. If it's a bit longer, I've broken it up into different sections, but they're all there. You can basically go ahead and look at it all you want. All right, so, and you should, by the way, because what's happening, how I would do this is I would read the chapter, I would then go and, so I'd read chapter 1, then I'd go and look at me talk about chapter one, then I would tackle the assignment. But wait, there's more. So also in each of these sections, I tend to have stuff that I want you to look at as well. So that's for the intro, for this chapter one, chapter two. I've got sort of examples, again, borrowed mostly from when I taught this thing live, but I think they're still pretty good. And so that's how the material part works, right? These dates are when I think you should hit each topic. The other thing out there that you should be aware of is the actual assignments. So there's an assignment for chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, chapter four, with the dates that they are actually due. If you do miss that date, email me ideally before and let me know, and maybe we can work something out. The whole thing, though, will shut. I have to have these grades put into the registration system at a particular time on a particular day. So the deal is I can't keep it open indefinitely. So I think you'll find that the entire thing will shut probably in May 16th, I think. But you don't want to do that anyway. Every now and again, there's at least one or two students that somehow have waited to the absolute last minute to try and get all their stuff in. Good luck for that, by the way, because this is a lot of work if you try to cram it into one weekend. So I wouldn't do that, is what I'm basically saying there. So that's the assignments, and in each assignment, I may change this by the time you're taking this, but I have the assignments as Word documents in the content section. What I probably should do is have them also sitting, or instead of, I should actually have them sitting in the actual assignment itself. That would be ideal, but I haven't done it. So anyway, right now, you'll find the assignments in the actual content section. The other thing that will determine your grade is also these quizzes. Quizzes, again, based right out of the chapter. It's textbook regurgitation, right? So it's another way I want you to engage in the textbook. The quizzes are also, actually right there, that's the drop dead date, but they're due on these particular dates. If you got any questions at all about some of the questions in there after you've taken them, if you think they're unfair, if you think it's like, well, what's going on? I didn't understand that point. That's, again, a moment that you're supposed to try and email me, and maybe we can set up some time to talk about it, or just talk through email. One other thing that's important is the discussions. There's also discussions, and you'll see that most sections will have discussions, and you can kind of see that these are roughly the times that these things are going to be open. Here's the deal: asynchronous online, right? So I am pretty conflicted on this as a method to teach this particular course, but what I'll say is this: you will get a lot more out of it if you actually engage each other in these discussion questions. And I get it. Many of you are going to sit there at 11:55 on the 23rd and crank in like the bare minimum of what I'm expecting you to do. And I get it, because you got lives and stuff. But what you should do, I would think, is certainly, like, as of the 9th, start going through the material, maybe do the quizzes, maybe engage the questions, do the assignments. This will be a lot more dynamic. And I actually have in each of these what I'm asking you to do, like, do like 4 of the 8 questions, or do all questions, or whatever. Right. So that would be kind of cool if you do that right away. By the way, you have this one, the introduction and the what's wrong with this email. So those are the discussions. All right. And so all those are the things that actually ultimately contribute to your grade. So when we're looking at, do I have it still? No, I don't. When I go back to that syllabus, we got homework, we got theory, and then we have something called professionalism. The discussions is part of the professionalism. Also, as part of the professionalism, which I think I've outlined down here, is how you deal with your time, how you deal with the quizzes, how you deal with the discussions, and then how responsive you are to email. I'll tell you that, with these asynchronous onlines, which kind of came about as of COVID, I just have seen some of these. I've never had such variety in student performance when it's been like this, and so I have to be very militant on this now. If you're not handing in anything, if you're not doing any quizzes, if you're not contributing to this discussions, if there's really no evidence at all that you're even in this class, I got to turf you, right? That's called an LDA, last day attended, or never attended, or partially attended, right? If you were really good in the beginning and you were putting your stuff in, and then you just stopped, and you're not answering my emails or anything, that's another thing. I have to boot you out as well. I don't want to. I think this course is actually relatively easy. There's no programs, there's no data models you're building. Sorry, let me try it again. You're building a data model, but there's no coding basically, right? So basically, what I'm asking you to do is pretty theoretical, and so I'm hopeful that this is actually going to be a positive experience. Most of the students that have come out the other end actually have generally enjoyed this course, and they've enjoyed sort of the approach to it. So I hope that this will be a rewarding experience for you as well. When I'm talking about what you're going to be doing, let me just give you a quick little outline a bit about what you're doing. So going back to this content section. So in the beginning, we're ultimately doing something called well, systems analysis has got several phases. Now, one thing I will say is that the way we're doing this, the book still adopts something called the waterfall model. So the idea being that first you do your requirements, then you do, actually, first you get permission from the business, a business requirements document, so BRD, your requirements for the business, then you do your requirements, then you figure out how you're actually going to build this thing. For example, data flows or uh, uh, um, what we're talking about, basically requirements matrices, like, for example, is this requirement mandatory or optional? Is it a present? Is it a future? I mean, there's a bunch of things there that we kind of work out. Then development strategies ultimately becomes how are we going to do this? Are we going to do this ourselves? Are we going to hire people to do this? Are we going to buy something off the shelf? I mean, that's what development strategies are. And then the next phase is we actually start building things. And for this, user interface and data design, what we're doing is we're kind of putting together models, right? Again, please, if you're not a coder, don't worry about it. You won't have to code anything, but you will have to somehow, and I'll give you tools, somehow be able to describe how are you actually going to do this. Like uh, basically, you're drawing diagrams. So there's going to be a lot of different diagrams in here. And then finally, you've got the thing built. How are we going to maintain it? And then at some point, the thing is finished and it's got to be retired. So all these kind of things go into into the idea of a system analyst. Some of you might know what a business analyst is, who analyzes the business. We have data analysts that analyze the data. We have programmer analysts that basically write code. A systems analyst is looking at the entirety of the system from the moment it's thought about to the moment it's terminated at the end. And that's what this course is kind of about. Okay, so I think that's what I got there. And a quick word about what's kind of expected of you. So for this session now, the January 9th to the 23rd. So first thing I get you to do, there's a getting started assignment. And so in the getting started assignment, I want you to do discussions for sprint one. I'm using old language for this one, but it's basically for this session. So do discussions now. I might actually have rephrase that by the time you get to it. Do this quiz. So so remember, discussions are right here. So I'm basically asking you to do these discussions and actually these discussions when they show up, and then do the quiz, and you'll see that the quiz is this one. Okay, so there's the quiz, and yeah, that's right, there it is. So do that quiz. And then do something called a mind map. Now you might be thinking, well, what's a mind map? Well, actually, mind maps aren't really talked about too much in Dakota, and but they are definitely a thing. And so what I tried to do here is I tried to give you guys an example from my work actually about this was an actual mind map. And so what I'm trying to do in that assignment is get you exposed to that idea. Where are you again? Right there, right. So this is a mind map of this course, right? So you can imagine we have this course, it breaks down into these topics, and then these topics break down into other topics, right? So what I'm asking you to do is create a mind map of your program, whatever program you're doing here. Some of you guys are going to network, some of you are programmers, some of you are something else. Your program also breaks down like this. Now you're thinking, but how could I do that? Well, there are several options to making mind maps, and I think that I give you that option in the section. Oh, I'm losing my mind here. Did I do it? No. Maybe an email may follow, but either way, if you just Google, free mind maps or something like that, you'll be able to basically produce that pretty quickly on the internet using a browser, I should say. And then the other thing I'm asking you to do is to create a Kanban chart. This is also very important to me that you leave this course understanding. And this is actually kind of how I arrange my life. So it's all it is sort of work management. So in this case, these are the things I'm going to do. These are the things that are in progress. These are the things that are completed. And so I create sort of a to-do list. And then when I'm working on them, I move them over to in progress. And then when I'm finished them, I move them to completed. This is the simplest version of this. If you don't know what a Kanban chart is, look it up. I've also encouraging you guys to perhaps use a tool like Trello for this, because it's free and it's pretty easy to use. And when I used to teach I used to at one point teach 4 classes while taking 3 classes, 4 classes while taking 3 classes while doing something even more ridiculous, like actually trying to work and raise 2 kids. So my to-do lists were huge at the beginning of the week. And so what I do is I'd have my whole to-do list. I'd start as I started working on things like, maybe systems analysis, grade something, database, do something else, kids, set up a doctor's appointment. That would be in progress. And then when I finished, I'd move it to the completed. And then throughout the week, more things would come in the to do. And then so I just let them come. And then at the end, at a certain point, I would take them off the completed by literally right click delete, right? So I just want you to at least be exposed to this idea, because it is actually pretty cool. And then the last thing is just some Googling here, find out what's actually what is a systems analyst salary and all that. That's my attempt to get you guys to do some research into your industry. So that's what the intro is. And then as far as the other section here, which is the more textbook oriented, you're going to read the book. You're going to basically go through these various chapters. And again, what I would suggest you do is read the chapter while looking at the assignment. So if you look at the assignment, you'll see questions like, what is information technology and why is it important? I bet you like pretty early in chapter 1, they'll have information technology is, and this is why it's important. So this is basically all it is textbook regurgitation. If you are going to cheat about this, fine, right? But I mean, you'll get less out of it. So what I would do is I'd read the question, read the textbook until you find the answer. Then I would read the next question, read the textbook till you find an answer, and go on. Just go right down that list. Now that's basic textbook regurgitation. This area here is more of a free thinking question. So I tried to give in each of these assignments the rigid textbook regurgitation, followed by a more free look at it. All right, and please remember that in these, I actually have them right there. I'll have the lecture, and I'll have a quick description, like I more or less did, but probably a little bit better on what each of these assignments are. All right, and so what I'm saying here is in what's coming up, what's due basically on the 22nd probably, is your intro, assignment 1, assignment 2, each of those with a quiz. All right. And don't forget your discussions. So with that said, that's what I got for you. That's basically the welcome to the course kind of video. And then I'll be reaching out to email. And even though, a lot of these, by the way, full disclosure, a lot of these videos were done as you can see, like a couple of years ago. I will be looking at the videos myself and saying, well, maybe I could have explained that better, or maybe I should redo it. Hopefully, way before you've had a chance to look at it. But the cool part, honestly, about this course is that a lot of the stuff we're learning is good. It was good even when I was in my early career, and I suspect most of it will be good when I've retired, which sometimes I hope is tomorrow, but realistically it's about 15 years. So I mean this is good stuff, and it doesn't just apply to computers either. It actually can apply to a lot of different things. When it was I learned project management, for example, from a guy whose projects were building helicopters, not IT at all, right? It was just an idea. This is all basically about systematic thinking, and that can work building a house, building a helicopter, building an application, right? Well, it's the same kind of things. And some of this stuff has actually helped me with my, managing the household and all that. So, all right, with that said, I'll let you go. Thank you very much for watching all this, and then I'll get you in the next lecture.